It's giving very much fruity.
The flavor.
Let's get this roasted cooking.
Hello everyone, hi gay. Welcome to the Ookie Spooky Cookie Halloween video. Yes, so as you can see today, we're actually going to rank Drag Race seasons based on how scary they are. So there's usually a lot of talk of what seasons are the worst, what seasons are unwatchable, what users don't typically like, and what we're going to do today is we're going to rank them. A few disclaimers before I explain our tiers. Yes, I have lost my voice a little bit, so I might sound a little weird in this video. I'm also using a different headset than I would normally use to record, so if the audio quality is a little questionable, I hope it's not. If it is, I'll see what I can do to fix that. And also, this is no shade to any queens. Well, maybe some. This is really no shade, though, to a lot of the queens featured on the show. I'm looking at the season as a whole, so if there's a queen watching this and your season is featured on this list, it doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means that maybe there were some issues with the overall season. Let's frame it like that. So our actual tiers are Drag Race Season 4 winner. That is the scariest you will ever get. From top to bottom, that is the scariest you will ever get. So any franchise that I think is terrible, horrible, any season that exemplifies Ookie Spooky Kooky will go up into Drag Race Season 4 winner because I think it's an absolutely horrible, horrible season. Not worth watching. Underneath that, we have Social Media the Rusical. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely a terrible Rusical. It's trying so hard to be relatable while also completely missing the mark that the more you try to relate to the youth, let's say, and make references about youth, the further you distance yourself and the older you age yourself. Anything in the Social Media the Rusical tier is scary, and I would probably recommend staying away from it, but it's not as bad as Drag Race Season 4 winner. Underneath that is Gag Me With a DeLorean. These are franchises that are a little iffy. You can watch them if you want some entertainment, if you're bored, maybe good background noise, because we're getting gagged with a DeLorean. Underneath that is Boo in the Gays Anatomy Challenge. Specifically that Boo when Aiden Zane goes, "Whoa." Aiden Zane's Snatch game could also be up here. So there's a couple layers of this, but anything that's in the Boo category isn't really that scary. Nothing we really need to be scared of, but we are aware of it, that it may not be the best. And then the final tier, people make a big deal out of this. Trixie seems like she hasn't gotten an eye infection yet from her makeup, but Trixie's makeup brushes are probably the least scary thing that we'll see. So franchises that I think are probably unnecessarily hated, are worth your time. There may be a few just from the list we compiled that will go here. I know of one right off the top of my head that'll go here, but these are our tiers. So we're going to go on through and rank our Drag Race seasons based on how scary they are. Okay, so I tried to organize these not really in the order that they aired, but organized by franchise. And I think the most popular franchise, the most well-known franchise, is obviously RuPaul's Drag Race, the US show. It's the one that started everything, and there are some pretty hated seasons, and the first one we're going to start with is Season 1. So, Season 1, actually, I just rewatched it recently. It was good. It's very entertaining for what it is. I think that the obvious issue is the camera quality. They didn't really know what they were doing, and I don't want to fault them for that because they created an entire legacy based off this little basement show. The queens and casting are actually great. I think the one quote that always sticks with me is Akasha going, Chanel looked like a football field. I love it. I think there's some good drama. I think there are good confessionals. There really are no stakes in the sense that the queens were just going for it. They didn't know what to expect, so they really held nothing back. I think that's an issue that we kind of get into with later seasons, that queens are filtering themselves or not really being that authentic. We've had that come up a couple times, but I think actually Season 1 of Drag Race goes in the Boo tier. It's actually a pretty enjoyable watch, and I would encourage you, if you've never seen Season 1, like I hadn't for a really long time, go in and watch it. It's a good season. It's funny. Don't expect it to be like a season, let's say 16 of Drag Race, right? It's not a season 16 of Drag Race, but it is entertaining. I think you'll have a good time if you go watch Drag Race Season 1. After that is Drag Race Season 7. Now, for the longest time, this was like one of the worst seasons of Drag Race ever. I would say back in like 2016, 17, we had gotten pretty much good seasons, and even after season 7, season 8 and season 9 were really well received. Season 7 was hated pretty much universally. So seasons that have a lot of obvious production interference are seasons that fans usually don't gravitate towards. And I think you can make that argument with Pearl a lot. Pearl was really pushed. Another big fault of this series is just how many comedy challenges there are. We have a group of, I don't want to say unfunny girls, but there's a lot of fashion queens in this group, and they're given one singular design challenge until the top 5. And at that point, we've weeded out most of the fashion girls at the top 5. So it's just not the most enjoyable watch. I think now looking back, people love the cast. I think it spawned some of the most iconic queens of all time, like Trixie, of course, Katya, Miss Fame, Violet. So I don't want to put it as high as possible, as in like this is terrible, but I think that it goes in Gag Me with a DeLorean. It's not the most enjoyable watch, and not the most enjoyable season you'll ever see either. I think there are some weird judging choices, there's some weird production issues. It does leave kind of a bitter taste in your mouth watching the bitter old lady brigade versus the younger queens, and the way that's edited is a little weird too, because we're meant as an audience really to side with the younger queens. So I don't know, it's a very weird season production wise, so not the best. Next is season 11 of Drag Race. Now I don't think this is an overall terrible season, but I know it's not that well received by fans. I think a large part of that is just some of the negativity surrounding the series, like the editing of Raja O'Hara, the negative edit Silky got, and this isn't to say that that they didn't say a lot of the quotes that they said, or that things they said were taken out of context, and they've both gotten redemption since then. But I just think when you watch it, you don't really get a satisfying narrative conclusion, especially with the Silky and Evie drama. Because Silky talks all season about how she'll beat Evie, and Evie talks about beating Silky, and then it never really happens. They don't lip sync against each other. I think judging is also really questionable during this. Sugar Cane is one that comes to mind with weird judging. The makeover challenge with Vanjie, I don't know. Very, very weird decisions across the board. It can go with its bestie season 7 in Gag Me with a DeLorean. I think it's an entertaining watch. You can watch it, but it's not a season that I think a lot of people will go back and rewatch. And there just isn't a lot there to enjoy. Now we're here at the big dog, season 13 of Drag Race. Season 13 is annoying. Like straight up, it's an annoying season to watch. The challenges are pretty terrible. Let's just say that. And I think a season of Drag Race, if the challenges aren't good, there's only so much that the girls can really do with bad challenges. Social Media the Rusical comes to mind immediately. That is horrible. Splitting up the group into winners and losers in the first episode is also horrible. It's a horrible idea. You're basically telling me which queens are actually good. Let's say that's the narrative the show's pushing, that some queens are good and some are terrible. And that's proven by the end of the season, when all of the queens except one, Rosé, who were losers, are gone. From the viewer perspective, Candy is one that was said to be favored. Got Mick was also favored a good bit. I think it should go in Social Media the Rusical. It makes sense. It spawned that challenge. Another horrible challenge that season is the Final 5 challenge, where they're acting as characters and they were shrunk down or something. I don't even remember what it was called. Honey, I Shrunk the Drag Queens or something. Literally a horrible challenge. They wrote characters that were based on the personalities of the queens still left, and all of those queens, instead of taking a different part, all took the characters they were based. Ridiculous. Anyway, the makeover challenge judging was terrible. Yeah, bad. Boo. Hiss. Boo. Bad season. Okay, now we're on to All Stars. So this is All Stars 1. It has one of the greatest casts of all time. That's one thing you can say about All Stars 1. But kind of like what I said about season 13, the challenges are terrible. Terrible challenges. RuPaul's gaff-in is bad. Them being in teams is bad. Them being in teams is a great idea until you realize that the queens weren't told they were going to be in teams beforehand, and so they didn't bring matching outfits. And you can tell that on the runway when they don't look cohesive, really, most episodes. I think it's a short watch, though. I'm going to put it in Gag Me with a DeLorean. It's a short watch, and the queens are really entertaining, but if you expect, like, good quality television, you won't get it here. All Stars 5. Speaking honestly, All Stars 5 is weird. It's a little boring. It's a little predictable. I think people watching it generally knew. I remember watching it live. People generally knew that Shea was going to win. And that's not to say that we don't want a frontrunner. I think that a season with a frontrunner can be really entertaining, but kind of like Jujubee said, RuPaul's Drag Race some stars. And I'll leave it at that. Let's put it in Guide Me with the DeLorean. It's not the worst watch ever. Giving Kennedy a country song? Be for real. All Stars 8 is going in social media the Rusical. Not enjoyable, just based on the judging decisions. That is terrible. The Fame Games really played no part in this season. They were hyping it up. That was useless, I would say, overall. Heidi and Closet quitting is weird. I want to make a video about judging critiques and how the judges flip-flop, because this is no shade. But some of the girls on the runway, some of their outfits they were wearing, let's say flats, a bra and panty, and not getting red for it, and the judges just say, oh, this is so, insert character name here. We need to end that critique, and that happens a lot on this season. I think it starts off too in the first episode, and this is James Mansfield, I love you. But if you're in a girl group challenge, you should know the choreo. And Ross Matthews going, oh, I didn't even care you didn't know the choreo because you were so funny. What are you judging then, if not the choreo? Horrible. Weird final two. Just questionable overall. I do enjoy Jimbo, so I'm fine with Jimbo winning. I don't know. It's not an enjoyable season, really. Alexis Michelle, no shade Alexis, is kind of annoying, grading throughout. She lasts a long time. And I just want someone to clear her. Someone just, I don't know. It's a lot. It's just a very frustrating watch, so we'll move on. All Stars 9. Guide Me with a DeLorean. It's boring. It's a really boring season. I think that having all the girls stay the whole time is a fun idea and concept, but then you get, what, 12 episodes in and you're like, okay, I've had enough. I don't even know if the season was 12 episodes. I took a pause in between because I couldn't finish it. And I think what makes this season the weirdest is all the questionable judging. Judging can have a big hand in how a season plays out, and this one has really weird judging. I think the obvious winner was Roxy, and then when she doesn't win, you're really left with an empty feeling. And again, I love Angeria. I think she's a great winner. But this season could have done a better job building that up, and there were really no stakes. Besides getting scissored, I guess, there were no stakes because everyone stayed the whole time. Canada's Drag Race Season 1 is Drag Race. This is our first Drag Race Season 4 winner. This is a horrible season of Drag Race. It's almost unwatchable at times, and that's because of the judging. You can watch 30 or 40 minutes of an episode and think, oh, these queens are great, they're so entertaining, they're doing fun in the challenges, they're doing fun things. Then you get to critiques, and everything you're thinking about who did well, who did bad is flipped upside down. There's no consistency. They're just being assholes to be assholes. And I think that they were really trying to emulate. They were all the Michelle. They all wanted to be a Michelle. We only need one Michelle. We don't need three. And that's been talked about a ton. There's a reason that they got replaced then after. So no shade to any of the judges that got replaced. But I love Daddy Brad and Miss Mother Tracy. So I don't really care that they got replaced. Like, let's say any of the critiques at Jimbo at that time were really controversial. Jimbo was a clear standout, and the judges just hated her. Telling Jimbo welcome to the competition after she just won the week before is insane, but I'll leave that alone. But what a stupid critique. Bad season. Bad season. Bad season. I don't have to say anymore. Okay, Canada's Drag Race Season 5. Now, this season started with so much potential. I think the cast of queens is really fun. I think the dynamic between the queens is fun. There's some good drama. However, this season gave a bunch of fashion and design girls a bunch of comedy challenges. Snatch Game was one of the worst we've ever seen in our life. That improv, interview challenge was one of the worst we've ever seen in our life. Those girl groups, that girl group challenge was one of the worst we've ever seen in our life. Just bad. I mean, give the girls something that you know they can do. I understand that they probably pre-planned the challenges, so you can't really help it to an extent, but you chose this cast. You know this cast is not funny. These are not funny girls, and you're giving them a bunch of comedy challenges. Can't stand that. It's not a horrible season overall. The lip syncs are fun. I don't think it's a fully satisfying winner from beginning to end, especially in the middle parts. But I don't think it's unwatchable. It is bad, though. I'll put it in social media, the Rusical. One thing that also doesn't help Canada 5 is it comes right after Canada 4, which is arguably the best Canada season of all time. I think it's actually the best Canada season of all time. So it's rough. really rough. Drag Race Down Under Season 1, Drag Race Season 4 winner. Just like Canada 1, almost unwatchable. I would say even more unwatchable. This is no shade to the cast. There's about 2 people worth rooting for in that entire cast. We have a racist that gets forgiven and gets pushed to the end, despite the fact that they admitted to being a racist on camera. We have other girls in the workroom saying that, oh, that was just what we did back then. It was the times. Terrible. Inherent racism. I'm sure there were microaggressions somewhere in there. Literally terrible judging. Terrible decisions. Terrible twist of bringing back a queen. No shade to the queen that got brought back. Love you. But terrible decision to bring that queen back unwarranted to do nothing. Terrible judging. One that comes to mind is the talent show. We had an actual quick change act and actual dancing as 2 real talents, both in the bottom. For a girl putting her fist in her mouth, for 1 balloon animal, and then the racist girl doing a pole dancing routine. Let's be for real. Anyway, terrible season. I think that the caliber of drag in Down Under for the first season is not up to par. That we saw that was very evident. It was not up to par. RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under, which is now just Drag Race Down Under because goodbye RuPaul. I think this really set the tone for the rest of that franchise, and it has not recovered since. Down Under Season 2 and 4 were a little bit better. 3 is on this list too, so don't worry, we're going to whack her in a second. But it just set the tone for the rest of this franchise, which is very evident in the fact that it's horrible. This is one of the worst franchises. I'm so sorry. Sorry, any Down Under fans. Down Under Season 3 is Social Media the Rusical. It is a bad season, so it's not an enjoyable season. It's really not that enjoyable of a season. Similar to Down Under 1, the caliber of drag is not there. I think that the challenges are also pretty weird. That girl group challenge is a mess. They cut out half. Why did they have them on bikes? What a stupid idea. Queens are much more enjoyable on 3 than they are on 1. There's more queens to root for. You get better narratives from these girls. Hollywood is an icon. I'm sorry. She's an icon. And I just think that overall, the season and production are bad. And there's a reason it was bad. And there's a reason we know it was bad because Rue leaves. Rue doesn't continue after this season. I think that's all you have to say to understand why this franchise is bad. Drag Race Holland 1, if I'm being honest, I don't really remember this franchise that much. I don't remember this season that much. I watched it so long ago, and it's not one that I go back and rewatch or watch clips of that frequently. I do remember the judging being whack. Telling Chelsea Boy that she was the winner of Snatch Game and then giving the win to Envy Peru is insane work. People do not like Fred as a judge. I totally understand why. Fred just does what Fred feels. Fred doesn't really look at what's going on screen. Fred just goes off of her emotions. It can go and gag me with a DeLorean. I wouldn't recommend watching it, but you can if you want. Same kind of deal with Drag Race Holland 2. I should not get points just for getting rid of Nikki Pleasant because she was reading those girls' shoes. She kept the girls in line and actually told them, oh, your shoes are ugly. It's terrible. People really don't like Holland 2 because of the whole cheater and then getting disqualified. I don't really mind it. Just like Season 1, it has really weird judging. I think decisions are questionable. Challenges aren't that great. Lip syncs are bad. Okay. This goes up. Lip syncs in Holland 1 are really bad. The caliber of lip syncs on Season 1 are really, really bad. Season 2 is not much better. Season 2 is really not that much better, but I'll give it a pass. Holland's just not a great franchise. Sorry. Sorry to all the queens on Holland. Envy, you're an icon. Okay. Okay, so Sweden Season 1. Let's be real. It is inherently a bad season. The cast of queens is not really up to par besides like 2. Fontana, you're an icon, a legend, and you're in my heart forever. I just think that for the first season of Sweden, this is our introduction to Swedish drag, right? The thing about it is that a lot of these girls, even though they're like in Sweden or they like grew up in Sweden, they didn't live in Sweden when they were cast. So like you didn't have any girls living in Sweden that you could cast. You got one from like Japan. You got one from the UK. Is it the UK? I can't remember if it was the UK or Down Under. I'm talking about Antonina. But you have queens coming from different places. Like, why didn't you just cast in the whatever? Um, the challenges are really bad on the challenges are really bad on Sweden. The judging's weird. I think that's a recurring thing we've seen with a lot of these seasons. The judging's just weird, and that's why they're considered bad. It's an iconic season to go quote. Antonina's run should be studied on this season. I'm just saying, Antonina's run should be studied. Sending home a frontrunner for Antonina, fans probably weren't happy about that. Yeah, it's just not up to par. It goes in social media, the Rusical. It's one of my favorite seasons to like quote and meme on, but it's not a good season. Belgique 1 is horrible. Drag Race Season 4 winner. It has some of the worst drag we've ever seen. It's some of the worst drag we've ever seen. I have to repeat that. Terrible drag. Terrible judging. No offense, Rita Baga. This is not to say you have to be a winner to judge. But if you are given the position of a host and you were asked to judge the girls, don't you think you should give them actual critique? They went 7 episodes. They went 7 episodes unchecked, just being able to skate by with no real critique until the 8th episode when Vanessa Van Cartier from Holland 2 came on and gave the girls actual critique. She got them together. Why she wasn't the host from the start, I do not know. I have not seen Belgique 2, so I don't know if that's worse. I think it'd be pretty hard to get worse than this. Belgique 1 is so bad. The thing about it, though, even though the caliber of drag isn't quite up to standard, what's crazy is that they were outdoing Rita Baga. Rita Baga was on the judging panel, and she was being outdone by the girls. What was her name? Muffy? What was her name? The girl judge that's on season 1 that I know does not come back for season 2, she was outdoing Rita. She looked better than Rita every week. Was it Muffy? I should really know that. She was outdoing Rita every episode. Just a mess. Mess of a season. Bad challenges. Bad production. Questionable drag. Bad. Germany 1. Trixie's makeup brushes. It is not a bad season. It's not scary in the slightest. It is a good season to watch. I was reading reviews. That's how I compiled this list. I was reading reviews of franchises. This is one of the ones users don't enjoy. I don't understand why. I'm sorry. Great queens. Great challenges. Good drama. We have an entire showmance that develops in one episode that gets crumbled and picked apart in the next one with some of the most insane camera angles I've ever seen in my life. It's not a Germany lip sync until you see Tessa Testicle do a crunchy split. I have to say that. It is enjoyable. It's so entertaining. The winner is great. I think that narratively, we're given a reason why this person does win. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's so entertaining. I don't know why it's not enjoyed more. I want a season 2 of Germany. Make that happen. WoW or whoever is listening out there, make it happen because I want it. This is Drag Race UK season 3. So it is not a great season overall, especially coming off to one of the best seasons of all time. Questionable judging that goes on. They hate Charity Case. Kind of like Down Under. Down Under is really never beating the racist allegations. I thought maybe we were getting past that a little bit with UK. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I think UK 3 is another good example of we're never getting past the racist allegations. One black queen, are you fucking kidding me? And then Vanity Milan goes on Canada 1 and says, it was hard for me to be the only black queen there. Like, get real. I don't know. UK needs to get their act together. I'll put it in Gag Me with the DeLorean. It's a little spooky. I don't think it's a completely unwatchable season, but it's not one that yet. Once you finish UK 3, why would you go back and watch it? You just saw what happened. It's weird. UK 7 is Social Media the Rusical. I am so sorry. I know it's still currently airing, so this may change. My thoughts on it may change, but it is so unenjoyable right now. When the first episode started and there were 10 girls that all looked the same and 2 black girls and 1 Asian girl, I said, we're done. UK and Down Under are never beating the racist allegations. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Nang Bella's treatment is terrible. I'm not saying she didn't deserve to be in the bottom, but like, I don't think they expected the fans to latch onto her as much as they have. And I know from some of the recent things I've seen, I've not watched the newest episode that came out a couple days ago or whatever. I know fans aren't happy about the most recent judging because the 2 queens of color that are left are in the bottom. Just a mess overall. I don't think that the judging is going well, especially from. I'm sorry to any Graham Norton stands out there. I do not like Graham Norton on the panel. Not everything has to be, oh, I'm making a funny joke, like you did this, but you really... Shut up, Graham. You're pissing me off. And he's been pissing me off on UK7 too. His critiques are off the wall. I don't think... I'm getting heated. I'm actually getting heated talking about this. Anyway, UK7, boo, flop, bye flop. Okay, UK versus the world. I think it goes in boo. I actually don't think it's that bad of a season. I know that people are mad about Lemon's elimination, about Jimbo's, about Panginas, but I don't think it's that bad. It kicks off the whole idea of we can take queens from other franchises and put them against one another, and we see that with now Canada versus the world and this alleged Down Under versus the world, and of course Global All-Stars, which I will be talking about in a minute. Don't worry, we're getting to it. I understand why fans don't like it, but it's an entertaining season. The challenges are kind of iconic. That Snatch game is one of the most iconic we've ever seen. I don't think it's as bad as people say. I really don't. So it can go in the boo tier. It's not that scary. Alright, this is Italia 1. I didn't put Italia 2 on here. I think Italia 2 is a little more enjoyable. They have more episodes. They have more time to flesh out storylines. Italia 1 is just a mess. And it's a mess because... So in the first episode, we get rid of a girl. Then I think the next 2 episodes, no one goes home. Then the 4th one, we cut 2 girls. And then I can't... In the 5th one, we cut another... It's all boggled in my mind because a lip sync for disqualification is crazy. The Enorma Jean disrespect is crazy. Chiara Francini's off a rocker. She makes it really enjoyable. Tommaso Zorzi being a bitch makes it enjoyable. That final challenge is a hot mess. Why are we seeing the dancers front and center more than the queens? The queens didn't all know the choreo. Lukeisha... She's annoying, but she was eating it up. I'm sorry. She was eating up the choreo. She was the only girl who knew it. I mean, it was a 5-minute number, but I think it's going to go in Social Media the Rusical. It's a big step down, I think, in terms of just drag in general. Italia 2 is not much better. I don't have it on here. It's not much better of a season, but at least narratively you understand why that person wins. I actually do love the winner of Italia 1. That was the queen I was rooting for. But narratively, they probably shouldn't have won. Our final season is Global All-Stars. Drag Race Season 4 winner. Global All-Stars has so much potential and promise, but it's nearly unwatchable when you realize that the only queens being pushed and favored are the queens that have been judged by RuPaul. Queen Kong, Katie Scott Claus, and Alyssa Edwards. This is no shade. They signed up to be on a show, right? It's annoying, but they signed up to be on the show, so they can't help that they're favored. However, what's the point of telling me that the world, this RuPaul's Drag Race world, let's call it, right, has all this talent to not show it off? Some of the queens don't speak English as well as the others, which is totally understandable, right? But that's being held against them when it comes to judging of girl group versus, let's say, or Snatch Game characters, or acting or improv challenges, or roasts. English is not some of these queens' first language, so I think that makes the translation and cultural aspects miss. Jamal Sims is worthless there as a judge. He's just there to say whatever RuPaul wants him to say. And RuPaul, we all love Mother Ru, right? We all love Mother Ru, but I don't think it's fair for RuPaul to judge culture of other countries when she doesn't know it. It's murky, it's muddy, it's a huge waste of talent. The entire cast is super talented and it's wasted. It's a really bad season. I will be surprised. I'm sure they're going to do a season 2, but I will be surprised if it's not just as bad, if not worse, than this first one. Because the first Global All-Stars is terrible. If you want to crown Alyssa, just put her on another All-Stars. Ginger's been on 10. Put Alyssa on. Alright, anyway. This is my tier ranking of how scary Drag Race franchises are. If you disagree, I would love to hear you in the comments in a respectful way. If you are being mean about my opinions, I will block you. I don't care. Don't be annoying. Don't be mean. This is just my opinion. If you want to talk about your own opinion, go make your own video. Not a big deal. This is all for fun. And, of course, don't send hate to any of the queens I talked about or any of the franchises featured. Don't go out of your way to message queens and send hate. That's stupid and also ridiculous. This is all in good fun. And they're bringing us great, entertaining TV, so the least we can do is judge them for it. Alright, well, that's going to wrap up the video. Leave a like, subscribe. You know, it all helps me out. I have a real-time job. YouTube's what I do for fun. And I love making videos, dumb, stupid videos like this where I get to judge franchises that I've seen of drag. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye! Happy Halloween, spooky ookies!